Gents, I just want to pause the episode for a moment to let you know about the Strong Men of Value Academy. You will have heard me refer to it a number of times, and I want to bring more attention to it. So this isn't just a program, it's a life-changing environment and community of men who are focused on personal and professional growth. We're looking at areas of relationships, wealth, and health, things to help you thrive and maximize your life. Imagine having bi-monthly one-on-one coaching sessions with myself, weekly group coaching calls, and an incredible brotherhood of high achievers by your side. Now we're diving into resilience, leadership, and holistic growth to not just succeed in your career, but to thrive in your health and your relationships. Your journey to greatness, it starts here. So join the movement and you can apply for the Strong Men of Value Academy. You can head to themanthatcanproject.com to find out more.
You're listening to The Man That Can Project with Lachie Stuart, a global movement created to empower men and open up what's really going through their minds by having real and raw conversations about life's unique challenges and our individual ways of processing it all. Welcome to The Man That Can Project.
Yo, gents, welcome back and Happy New Year. So this is the first episode for 2021, and what better way or what better topic to discuss than how to set yourself up for success. Now, this is a recording of a webinar that I ran late last year, and it was an incredible conversation, and I got such great feedback from the men who attended it around, what they were going to implement, the simplicity of it when done well. So, gents, make sure you definitely take time. Okay, if you want to watch this and actually watch me go through it with some slides, head over to the YouTube. It's just under Lachlan Stuart, but just search Set Yourself Up for Success, or join the free Facebook group. I have posted it in there so you can follow along. Otherwise, alternatively, continue listening. I would still highly recommend listening to this as well. But without further ado, let's rip in for the episode, guys, and stay through to the end. Sorry, so I do want to talk more about the inner circle, and for those who are going to listen to this and are going to take the time to set your year up for success, I would highly recommend checking out the inner circle and ripping in with a 7-day free trial, because it's going to give you everything and more you need to have a hugely successful year, creating more momentum in your life. There are already over 36 blokes in there who are doing exactly that. And you get to come into an incredible community, which is just going to give you the tools, resources, accountability, and strategy to take your life to that next level. So let's dive in, guys. Okay, Jen, so my intention, obviously, with this webinar tonight is, Kevin, how to do that, is to help you guys set yourself up for success. So for myself, over the last 4 years, I've made some fairly significant transformations with myself in the 8 areas, which I'll go through shortly. And year upon year, it's sort of compounded around what I've learned works really well, and how to become more efficient, how to sort of know how to fast track things to get better results with what I want. And one thing that I've learned is anyone who is successful in any way, shape, or form in their life, they set goals and they create a plan to achieve it. And I'll show you in a moment a video of myself when I literally first started this journey, and I was just a guy with I guess, if you want to say dream, but then along the way I've learned certain things to achieve that. And everything that I'm going to give you tonight is everything that I've spent over the last 6 years really working out how to create a life that I'm excited by and it's giving me the results that I want. And I think for those who jumped into the sort of brief one a few weeks ago, and I said that it normally takes me about 2 days. This year, it's taken me probably closer to 4, just with the amount of planning that I've put in to create what I want next year. Now, keep in mind, we're all at different stages. We all have different goals, and we all have different things going on in our life. So that's going to be give or take for people. But what I want you to understand before we dive into that is that 80-20 rule, or, whether it's 70-30, but what we plan to achieve. If you spend time really nutting this out now, rather than just going through 2021 without any real plan or idea of what's going to get you to where you need to be, you'll create much greater results, and you won't be busy, you'll be productive. Okay, does that make sense? So, as I mentioned, the intention is to bridge the gap from where you are now and the goals that you're setting for yourself and the life that you want to create. I want to be clear, I'm not going to sell you guys anything, so you don't have to sit in here and wait for a pitch at any point. I'm not going to do that. I will tell you guys that if you do want to jump on a call with me not after because I'm busy tonight, but at any point over the next couple of weeks, you can do that. I would trust that you guys know how to find me on Facebook or Instagram. You can slide into my DMs and orchestrate that. But there's no pitch here tonight. I just want to give you as much value so that whether you take anything from this or not, I'm sure you will. You'll be able to start making some huge improvements in your life for 2021. Cool? We're good? Everyone's good with that? Thumbs up if yep. Perfect. Sweet. So question for you guys, and you can put it in the chat rather than or if anyone wants to yell out, but why do you think some people accomplish more than others? You can either post it in the chat or you can unmute yourself and share. Let's hear from everyone.
Probably the people that are more successful than others plan more, so they can allocate their time better. And then execute on that so they can, take action. Because I've found when I don't take action, it's because I haven't planned.
Yep. Awesome, man.
And I think just adding to that, I think intent feeds into the planning process.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
And I could say consistency.
Consistency. Awesome, Andy. Organization, goals, focus, plan with action, plan personal growth, planning. Yeah, awesome. Anyone want to share anything else? No, I know when to change the plans if it isn't serving. So having behavioral flexibility is what I call that. So, but great point. All right, awesome. Thank you guys for doing that. So essentially I break it down to two things, right? And keeping it super simple. It's decide what you want. And what I've seen, I've worked with hundreds of men over the last few years. One area where we struggle is we struggle to make decisions or decide what we want. We think that it's going to magically end up in our lap one day and then we get to, that burning desire to go after things, right? It doesn't work like that. We need to start making decisions. And I guarantee you guys, anything in your life that you've decided upon, like deciding to jump on this webinar tonight, you're going to learn something, right? And it's going to have a ripple effect into other aspects in your life. Right? You made that decision, right? So when you think about deciding what you want, you need to start being specific. So, let's use, for example, it's January's coming, around the corner. Most people want to, have some health goal to kick off the year. It might be to lose weight, get rid of the dad bod, the beer belly, all those sorts of things is generally a big thing. But people aren't specific around what that looks like, or people don't create a specific plan on how to achieve that. Now, we look at work-life balance. We may look at what you want your finances to look like, what you want your physical, mental, emotional health to look like, your hobbies or your holidays. We say, I'm going to do more of that next year, but who here actually plans for that? Not many. Or you don't put a measurable target, right? We talk about, most people will be making that decision when the emotions are higher. You might catch a glimpse of yourself walking past the mirror and seeing the dad bod, or you might get to this point of year and realize you're stressed financially because you have to buy gifts, or you might be having holidays, or all those sorts of things are happening, and the emotions cause us to go, no, I've had enough. But what happens when the emotion wears off, which it does, it always does, is we need to work out how we can remain in a change our state to create that emotion again, time and time again, which is what most people call motivation. Right? Some days you're motivated, other days you aren't. That's fine. But there are things that we can put in place. And, I'll talk about this in daily actions at the end to help get yourself back in that motivated state. So you can be consistent, you can be motivated, and you can be driven to achieve the stuff that you said you wanted to achieve. Does that make sense? So I'm just going to share my screen with you guys. I've made some exciting slides for you. They're not actually that exciting, but I'll share them here. And I want to share the first slide, why I feel what I'm going to share tonight is works, because this is one of the first ever videos I did on social media. A few of you may have seen it in the past. Some of you may not have, but it's essentially when I made a decision, I was sick of where my life was at. I sort of just started coming out of that rock bottom point. I, failed with rugby. I'd tried multiple different jobs and I was just never really fulfilled, but I had that burning desire that I wanted more and I could have more. I just wasn't sure how I was going to get there. Right. But one thing that, what this is going to teach you guys is when you make a decision that you want more, you figure it out along the way based upon what skills you need to learn, maybe what networks or environments you need to put yourself into, and maybe what you need to address about yourself to show up consistently or to have the confidence to try new things, all that sort of stuff. Okay. So tell me if you can't hear this.
Good old magic wand question. If time and money weren't an obstacle, what would my life look like? Well, first of all, I would not be wearing this work shirt, that's for sure. I'd be waking up at a beachfront apartment, taking my board out for a paddle, coming home, jumping on a plane to support my girlfriend all around the world with her music. To me, that's what's most important. I wouldn't allow my bank account to control my lifestyle and leave me with no choice. I'd love to have the choice, and what I'm doing now is allow me to do that. One thing that's really occurred to me of late is really my contribution. So I want to be able to leave an impact on this world, and something that I'm really passionate about at the moment. It is helping people understand that you can have a purpose in life and you can be successful even if you don't go to university. I've not got no university degree and I'm starting to make a change and live the life that I want to live, and I want to be able to influence the young people that there is choice out there. You don't have to do the 40-40 anymore. It's more to life and everyone can contribute in whatever way you want. You've just got to find your purpose.
All right, so that's, you get the general gist, but that was me back in 2014. I think Dad's actually on the call. When I was working for Dad, I hated building, but I knew I wanted more, and I was starting to really invest time in myself, listening to podcasts and put it out to my mates, social media, that I was going to do something differently. And I didn't know how I was going to do it. A lot of people didn't believe it. I don't know whether I believed it, but I was going after it. And that was sort of me making that decision and drawing a line in the sand that things were going to change. And I was going to, I was prepared to sacrifice whatever it took to create that. Right. So who here has an idea, right, of what they want to achieve for the next 12 months? Sammy, what do we got? I can't see everyone. Hands up. Let's just say, I'll assume, there's a few. Quality. Awesome. So one thing that, has worked really well for me, I did it back in 2015, was created a 10-year vision. And so much of that has come true, but there's also so much that I've worked towards that I realized that I didn't actually want, which was also, beneficial, because had I not started working towards achieving that, it would have always been in the back of my mind that maybe that's what I wanted. So what I want you guys to do just quickly, and I'll give you 3 minutes to do that, but I want you to obviously decide what you want. So write down what your top 10 goals are for 2021. Doesn't have to be in order of importance. Just go and think about 8 areas. Some might be health, some might be financial, career, with your relationships, maybe holidays, whatever that is. Just write down your top 10 goals. If you don't have a pen and paper, use your mobile phone on the notes section. Don't scroll past Instagram. We'll just give you 3 minutes quickly. Thinking about those top 10 things. Another 90 seconds. $60 seconds. Is anyone stuck? So thinking about those 10 goals for the year, 10 things you would love to achieve in 2021. All right, we'll call time there, guys. If you didn't finish that, is there anyone that finished that? Got the 10 out? Anyone get stuck? Awesome. So for those who got stuck, that's completely okay. You might want to, it might be worthwhile spending some time after this to actually set some different goals, because then it can help you understand maybe how important your current goals are to you. Does that make sense? So
I got 10. I was just saying I got 10, so my 12-week plan's going to be busy.
Yeah, your 2020 is going to be busy. That's good, mate. That's what we like to see. So what I'd like you guys to do now with that list of 10 or however many you got, I want you to choose one, okay? And of that 10, the one that stands out that if in the next 24 hours it was achieved, it would have the most significant positive impact on your quality of life. So which one on that list that if achieved over the next 24 hours would have the most significant positive impact on your quality of life? Once you find that one, I want you to circle it. I'd like you to circle it. So I'll give you 30 seconds, not as much time. Okay, so trust you guys have got one there. If you haven't, once again, take a little bit more time if you need, but we'll keep moving through. Now, I'd like you with that one thing, right? And that's what I'd probably say would be a good priority for 2021. Write down everything you feel you need to achieve that goal. Okay, so when you're looking at that, right? Let's look at I'll use health for an example. There may be people on this call, and there's people in general who aren't as educated around maybe nutrition, exercise, sleep, moving in the gym, all these sorts of things. So maybe your first step might be needing to get a personal trainer, or watching some YouTube videos, or speaking to friends who are fitness orientated just to start learning. That might be the first step for you. It might be joining a gym. It might be deciding what kind of fitness you would like to do. So think about all the things that need to happen or you need to do to achieve that. So from learning, from implementation, from planning, from accountability. Okay? I'll give you another 30 seconds from now to just go through that. Obviously, I would definitely recommend taking a little bit more time for this, and you'll see why that's important as we go through the rest of the process. All right, rest there. So if obviously rest there. That's the PT coming out of me. Chill out there. So obviously, continue spending more time there. And once again, whenever you start getting big lists of things, gents, make sure you always ask yourself, what's the number one thing on this list that I could do that would have the most significant positive impact on what I'm trying to achieve? Okay, because there's a lot of things that we can do that make us busy. But we want to be productive and make the most efficient use of our time. And now that we've got those tasks, guys, so like essentially the daily tasks, we look at, do something every day that's going to move you towards that achieving that outcome. That's where we start getting down to the specific goal and the planning, which brings us to what we're about to go through next. Does that make sense, gents? So for example, I'll give you a bit of a backdrop. So for me, my first, I guess, stop in business was through network marketing. And I thought I was going to be a millionaire in 12 months. I just assumed that's what was going to happen. I obviously figured out fairly quickly that there's a lot of work that had to go into me, and also had to go into learning business and sales and everything else that went along with that. Now, I think the important lesson to take away from that before we dive deeper is that not everything works the first time. More often than not, it doesn't work the first time, maybe not the second time or even the third time. So when you're committing to whatever it is that you're committing to, understand that there's a high chance that you're going to get some, let's say you're going to fail, but that's just feedback in that process. So you need to ask yourself how committed you are to achieving whatever it is that you would like to achieve. For me, I'm still working on that $1 million goal. Okay? So understand that it's not going to always work the first time. Nothing really does. From that point, but someone's jumping back in, Jesse. From that point, obviously, I started learning. So I started reading a lot. I started networking around people who had the results that I wanted. I started realizing that I had to learn to communicate better. I started realizing I had to learn sales. I started realizing I needed to address some things about myself that I guess were causing me shame and guilt. I had to, go through a whole process of unpacking stuff and learning new skills. So while I had this one specific goal, there was a spider web of things that I needed to improve and understand in order to support that. Does that make sense, gents? And that's why when I say what has to happen to achieve it, we need to open our eyes, because we're all, and I won't, throw anyone in a box, but I'll just say a lot of us are conditioned to think a certain way, and that way of thinking has got us to where we are right now. So we need to be open-minded and be able to change context on how we view things. Does that make sense? So, following on from I guess those 10 goals, what does your best year look like? Think about, if we were sitting here and this is the end of 2021, how would you like your life to be? What would you like to have changed? Would you like to have, for me, next year I'll be married. I'll have probably more staff members. I'll have had a honeymoon, a bucks party, all these sorts of things, which I'm excited to have, and I've already planned on my 12-month planner to achieve. So we need to start thinking about what that best year looks like, and then once again breaking that down to think about, okay, what's everything that has to happen, or I may need to learn, or what people do I need to be around in order to achieve that. So start with the end in mind. Questions to think about, and I'll or if you guys want to take a screenshot of that, actually, for those who are on your phones or computers, if you want, and you can go through that later. But think about, where do you want your life to be at the end of 2021? And for those who want to go a bit further or would like to go a bit further, think about maybe 2030, 10 years time. What would you like your life to look like? Because then you can start thinking about the skills that you need to develop, maybe certain other things that you can put in play. Set goals and standards for the 8 areas of life. So for those of you who haven't watched the 8 areas webinar, it's in the Facebook group, so you can watch it there. It's in the pinned post. Think about how you will map it out, and I'll show you exactly how I do that in a moment. What do you need to support this goal? Okay, so think about accountability. Maybe if you're like me and you get distracted easy, reminders on your phone, maybe sticky notes in your office or on your car dashboard. You can put all this sort of stuff everywhere. I treat myself like a baby when I'm trying to achieve things like that. Do you know anyone who's achieved that? Because you can pick their brain, understand what it's been like from them, understand what they wouldn't do if they could do things differently, so you can understand both sides of the coin, and think about how your life's going to change if you achieve it, because that is often a massive motivator behind why we're doing things, right? It's either out of pain or it's out of pleasure. And when we're setting goals, it's generally based out of the pleasure that it's going to create for us. So if we can keep that in mind and continually remind ourselves of that, that's one way of getting yourself in an empowered, motivated state. Does anyone have any questions at all so far, or we're all going pretty well? Feel free to unmute yourself at any point or use the chat feature, and I'll make sure that I'm checking it. Just froze it away. There's a few chats in there. Awesome. So Oliver's already put his start my own business, get down to 76K. Mate, that's unreal. Thanks for putting that in the chat, boys. I didn't see that before. So obviously the 8 areas, I'll just quickly highlight it for you guys, the 8 areas that I build my life based around, and also understanding that I need to develop skills, spend time learning, because none of us, I don't believe any of us have mastered it, right? It's lifelong. As you continue to grow and evolve as a man, as your partner evolves, as maybe your career evolves, you have to continue to keep up with that. The world is changing so quickly. What worked yesterday mightn't work tomorrow, or maybe not even today. So we need to understand that we need to continually be reflecting and refining things that aren't working or we can improve on. Okay, and it may sound daunting, but it also gives us purpose. Right? For those who've ever felt like you don't have purpose or you don't have direction in life, just choose one of these areas and set yourself a goal to improve upon. And then as you start making progress, it becomes empowering, it becomes fulfilling. Okay, we don't have to overcomplicate the whole purposing, which may be being a little bit overcomplicated in the world at the moment. Physical health, so I'll just give you a quick overview of these areas and then we'll get to the nuts and bolts. What does your physical health need to be like to achieve the results that you're after, right? So some people may be training to be athletes, others may be wanting to be great parents or grandparents, others just want to, might work in physically intensive roles, and you might need to be strong so you don't injure yourself or your body can keep up with it. Okay, for those who have kids, I looked after my nephew, I think it was 2 weeks ago. My average heart rate was 20 beats a minute higher than it normally is on a day where I'm working out for 4 hours. So, if you're looking after kids, you want to be relatively fit, but also keep in mind, like, just optimal health. Consider it helps you minimize sick days. You have more energy and you feel confident in your own skin. The ripple effect of that and the compounding effect of that is huge in itself. Okay, so think about what your physical health needs to be like to achieve the results that you're after, not what someone's telling you on Instagram, but make that specific for yourself, and you're the only person that can answer that question. Mental and emotional health. So what do you need to understand about yourself? What practices, routines, rituals do you need to implement for positive mental well-being? Or how can you start understanding your emotions better, like anger, sadness, all these things where we're human beings, we're supposed to experience that. But it's just how you can understand to I guess, get the most out of life. So what do you need to do for that? Might be starting to listen to some podcasts. You might do some programs. You might implement a morning routine, meditation, practicing gratitudes. Right? There's a whole heap of things that we can be in control of to positively impact that. Finances. This is often, it's crazy, right? Two of the biggest reasons why men take their life by suicide is due to relationship breakdown. So let's talk about intimacy, which we'll talk about in a moment, and finances, right? Going bust, like bankrupt, or not being able to, be the provider, like we all, once again, generalizing here, but a lot of men adopt that responsibility that we need to be the provider. So finances is something that should be discussed more. Like, I'm not on here giving financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but I do believe it's a conversation that people need to discuss a whole heap more, just to learn different ways of thinking about it and understanding and how you can sort of get ahead that way. But you'll see in the 8 areas webinar, I give you some questions to sort of answer for yourself so you can start improving that. And hopefully early next year, we'll have Sam Hardy on talking about some stuff there as well. but how much money would you like to save? What expenses do you have coming up for the year? So once again, which I'm about to show you on the full year planner, I can see, where my holidays are, where my long weekends are, where the workshops that I'm running are, where my Bucks party is, where, events that I've got going on are, so I can make sure that I am budgeting towards being able to fulfill those needs rather than getting 2 weeks out and being, freaking out because I don't have enough money to, do something that I wanted to do. Does that make sense? So know your numbers. It's hugely important to know your numbers. Computer screen's frozen. Oh, jump on. So next one's partner and love anyway. Once again, another reason why a lot of, unfortunately, statistics are showing men are taking their life by suicide. And I think it's an area that we don't speak enough about unless it's, a bit of derogatory chat generally at the pub. That's where I've sort of come from. But I think, being able to understand what your mates' relationships are like, speaking openly about your relationships, but also learning and developing skills within the relationship to communicate better, to understand each other's love languages, to just get to know each other. Because for those who are in relationships or those who aren't but have been in relationships or wherever you're at, you aren't the same person you were when you first got in a relationship or were in a relationship. And I guarantee your partner isn't as well. And I guarantee you're not going to be the same person in 12 months' time that you are now, which means you have to keep reintroducing yourself or allowing your partner to get to know you and for you to get to know your partner on a daily basis. It requires consistency, gents. If you leave it too long, you become resentful and you don't know really where to start with that. But it's important to, once again, go back to the basics and think about what you did when you first started your relationships. Boys, I was driving from fucking Toowoomba to Brisbane, which, might be far for some people, but when you have to go back to work at 5 a.m. and leaving at 3 a.m., it's quite a drive, and I probably wouldn't do that now, but maybe I should do those things. So think about in a relationship, for those who are in a relationship, do you have date nights, or do you have, I know Sam, who's on the call every Wednesday night, they talk about their goals and their finances and everything like that. I think that's fantastic because as much as you're a loving relationship, you're also a partnership. You're doing life together. So you need to be on the same page with what's going on in your life, what's going on in your partner's life, and what you guys are working towards together. None of us are mind readers, right? How much intentional time do you spend together? It's very easy to say, we spend a lot of time together, but you're sitting on the couch watching TV. That's not intentional time unless you've chosen to do that. So think about what is intentional time for you, right? Every man on this call has needs, right? You have needs that you need in the relationship, or you might have wants. Are you being intentional with that? Are you finding out what your partner's needs and wants are and being intentional with providing that for them? And, you can start reading up on, if you're stuck with, some blokes sit there and go, I've tried everything. Have you been to a relationship event, relationship coach, or have you read books? I've got, I know a lot of the guys that are in the inner circle have read the 5 Love Languages, but there's another one here called 8 Dates. There's Love Louder by Preston Smiles. There's all these books you can start reading, or there's podcasts. Just Google podcasts on love or relationships, and you'll be able to start listening to stuff for free. But you got to invest that time. For those who are single, now you can start thinking about how you would like to show up for someone when you're in a relationship, what your values and needs are when you're in a relationship. Reflect upon past relationships, what didn't work well, what would you want different next time. Start thinking about those ideas, because rather than just waiting for luck, if you're aware of what you want, when it shows up, you can go after it. Right? So what are their interests, all that sort of stuff. Just check the chat again. Chat's not showing up on my end anyway. We'll carry on. Career and mission. This is a really big one. People talk about passion, purpose, doing what you love. I don't believe everyone will get to do what they love in life due to not the fact that they can't, just fear often holds a lot of people back, and maybe other circumstances. I know in life, as we gain more responsibility, maybe mortgages, families, things like that, you have more to consider when you're taking maybe that leap to pursue something that you love. So I know there's a whole heap of things to consider in that point. That's why I know not everyone is, going to be fortunate enough to do that. So there's a few ways of looking at the career mission, but what would you like to achieve this year? What has to happen to achieve that? What professional development are you going to do to improve your value as an employee, or maybe as a business owner? Okay, or if you're an investor, that as well. Networking events, right? More often than not, it's not what you know, but it's who you know. Right? You get to learn the lived experience from people who've created what you want to create. And for myself personally, more often than not, I find that more valuable than reading, theory. And then maybe some people are working on side hustles. I know people have got side hustles going on. Cool. So if you're planning that sort of stuff, make sure you ask yourself those same questions. Family, friends. So time, are you scheduling time with family and friends, and how often do you have contact? For those who've heard me talk about this before, I have my favorites on my phone and I try to call them every couple of weeks. Growth and spirituality. So what's your own personal development? Right? What are you doing to understand yourself more and broaden your horizon around what's possible for you as individuals and as men? But if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling unhappy, maybe you just need to start by Googling how to find happiness. Maybe there's some books on it. Maybe there's a podcast on it. That's, Google has answers for everything now. We don't have to just sit there and bottle it all up and hold it in, but you can look at doing workshops. Often with workshops, you can learn more in 2-3 days than you might learn in 4 years. I know for myself, I try to attend 3 workshops a year. Books, I'm constantly always reading. We're always reading in the circle. Podcasts, listen to podcasts all the time, and I run a podcast. Just so you can help understand how you understand yourself better. And lifestyle, obviously, the reason why we get into the planning is you can plug all of those pieces into one place, right? If you look at all of those parts individually, it can be quite overwhelming. But when you look at a specific plan that takes into account everything, it becomes very easy to achieve. Someone on the group put a belt over note. Yeah, that's very true. What Sam was saying. I'm just catching up on the things. Yeah, someone in the Facebook group put. I was like, "What's your best advice for those who are becoming dads?" And one of the gents put in there. I think it was, understand that it's not becoming a father, it's actually becoming a new partner, like having to understand that your wife is now having a relationship with a kid as well. So that's a paraphrase, but it's something around that. So Sam, if you want to copy and paste that for me, that'd be awesome. And Andy said this where I'm struggling. Cool. Cool. Someone speaking?
Yeah, it was just me, Lachie. I was just saying, lifestyle planning. I don't know why. Maybe it's work gets in the way. You just can't put a long-term plan together.
Yep, and because you're obviously traveling with work and stuff, aren't you? Yeah,
quite a lot. So next year could be away for up to 5-6 months potentially.
Yeah, and so one thing that's probably really important for you to take into account with all of this, Andy, is behavioral flexibility, right? So a lot of us get frustrated when our plans change, but we need to understand that life, there's no guarantee, nothing's absolute. So even for my plan, my plan from last year was perfect, but then COVID fucking happened, right? I didn't achieve half the stuff that my whiteboard said to achieve, but I pivoted and I sidestepped and I still made progress. So what we need to, for a situation, for anyone else who might work maybe out of your control and you're not, you still want to stay in that career, it's thinking about what can you do on the move? Like if, and this is where we think about, okay, what obstacles could show up for me when you're doing your goal setting, gents, you always think about what are the potential obstacles or the challenges that are going to show up. Obviously there are some that we can't, COVID, for example, we can't, you would never imagine to happen, but there are things that can, like Andy, you're well aware that you're going to be traveling. So, you might say, right, well, when I'm traveling, I'm going to utilize the time to invest in myself, in my mind. That might be podcast time. That might be reading time, right? That's a different way of looking at it, or working on an area that you can still work on while you're going, right? It's like if you have an injury, let's say you roll your ankle and you can't go running or you can't go mountain biking, you don't just stop doing fitness. You change the way you do your fitness, because the goal is still the same. Does that make sense? And all of you guys are on here because you want to have a successful year, and success as a whole is like the umbrella effect. There's no one thing that makes you successful. No, as you know, a lot of you will probably always hear you can't spend your money in the grave, but so many of us are focused on success and recognition and money. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because it's important to me as well, but it's also understanding that your relationships are important, your health is important, other aspects of your life are important. So regardless of what life throws at you, behavioral flexibility allows you to understand that, all right, that might be possible to invest as much time or make as much progress there, but I can divert to this area. And that's where you come back to taking ownership for the quality of your life and improving who you are as an individual. So start thinking about, what do I need? Do you need coaching? Do you need seminars, books, podcasts? Who do you need to hang around? What's your current environment like? Do you need to find a new environment or start hanging around people who have the results that you want? Do you need an accountability partner, like whether it's a mate or once again, a coach? Have you put in your holidays and long weekends? Because as Andy sort of said, work gets in the way. Who else allows work to get in the way? Right? So one way to get on top of that is to plan your weekends and holidays ahead of time, because once it's booked, you're locked in. 99% of the times you're not going to change it if you've booked and paid for it or put a deposit down. But if you've just put it in there and you haven't booked and paid for it, it's, I'd probably say there's a high chance that you're going to scrap that when it comes to it. So if you're serious about having long weekends, having holidays, put your leave in at the start of the bloody year. Take ownership and take responsibility for making these things happen. And like I just spoke about, demonstrate behavioral flexibility. Life happens. People who have kids, your children might get sick. People who have business, shit pops up all the time. Even if you're working somewhere, someone might get sick and you get called in. There's an array of things that happen. So just be prepared to be in the zone where you're going to take responsibility and be can't even think of the word at the moment. But you're gonna be proactive in that situation. So stages of planning and goal setting, gents. So you'll see the 12-month macro plan I've got there. That's last year, pre-COVID. And like I've mentioned, I've got all my long weekends, I've got my birthdays, I've got my overseas trips, I've got the workshops that I'm attending, right? I've got the workshops that I'm running personally. I've got it all in there. So when you look at the macro, guys, make sure when you go through the 8 areas that you think about what you need to develop and grow in. So last year for me, I spent half the year, I guess, with a life coach working on my own stuff and growing. Then I also had a business coach as well for 12 months because I needed a bit of help with both. For the next 12 months, I'll still be working with a psychologist, but I'm also spending a lot of money learning more about sales and running a business. Right, so I've got trips to America that I'm hoping that if COVID's gone, I can get over and do. But I've already taken time to understand that where I'm at currently, this is where I feel if I learn these things, I'll have the biggest improvement in my quality of life right now. So I've looked and I've done my research, which is why it took me a little bit longer this year to find, different podcasts, different books, but also different workshops that I can attend. The reason why I like attending workshops is because it takes me out of my current reality and just puts me in the zone for 2 days, 3 days, or however long it is. Okay, so when you think about that macro plan, whether it's fitness, relationship, if you're really poor at, having weekends away with your partner, schedule those things. Do all of these things, but don't miss details. Does anyone have any questions on that 12-month plan? Put it in the calendar. So once it's on your plan, so I've got this year's done. Once it's on your plan, you then put it in your diary. So, once again, all the significant dates that you've got, go through your diary and you put them in so that when you're, as a year's chewing by, you're going to see when things are coming up, even though you should already have reminders in your phone and have a look at that. They'll be in the diary as well. So if you're booking appointments, or if you're, might be scheduling something that's coming up, you won't double book yourself. You'll have the things that you thought you needed to do at the start of the year to achieve the results that you want. You don't do it by luck. You do it by fucking taking responsibility and planning it. You then think about the quarterly planning. So once we've done our 12-month planning, we do our quarterly planning, right? So amongst all the goals that you've set for yourself, the goals that you've set for yourself, and for those who haven't set the goals, once you set the goals for yourself, think about, all right, in order for me to achieve that in 12 months' time, what could be a benchmark or a tangible measurement by quarter 3? Where would I need to be by quarter 2? And where would I need to be? Sorry, I skipped a quarter. You know what I mean. 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st quarter. Have little milestones that you can work towards, because that gives you real life feedback, guys. You're either going to be on track or you're not. And when you get that real life feedback, you can then change your approach if you need to. You work out what's working well for you and what's not working well. Are you wasting time? Are you doing things that don't add any value to the outcome that you want? And sometimes it's a hard thing to do, because no one likes to feel like they're not doing well. But the more honest you are and the more you track, the greater results that you're going to get. Does that make sense? That goes with fitness, finances, spending time in your relationships. Find a way to make it tangible. Any questions on that? Where do you need to be in those quarters? So then once you've got your quarterly, milestones mapped out, you start breaking it down a little bit further. Where do you need to be in each month to achieve those quarterly goals? Because what seems massive for 12 months becomes a little bit easier when it gets broken down into quarters. What seems crazy for a quarter gets easier when it gets broken down into months. So where do you need to be at the end of each month to be on track to achieve your goals? Okay, does that make sense? Do you want any examples, or are we good? Good. Can't see everyone. I can see a few people. So if you want examples, just unmute yourself, let me know. And then obviously we go to weekly planning. So based upon where you need to be at the end of each month, okay, what do you need to do, in the weeks to achieve that? Question. And Sam posted a thing, the hardest thing about becoming a father is not becoming a father to a child, but becoming a husband to a mother. It's a joke, but you don't realize how true it is until it smacks you in the face. Don't forget to honor and try to understand the new relationship that you have with your partner. That's a powerful, powerful read. But then breaking it down to what you need to have weekly, and then you think about your daily actions. Okay, so what can you do today that is going to help you achieve your goal? So I'll show you my diary. So I use this one here, and mine breaks it down every week. It has the 4 major goals that I'm focusing on for the week. So I'm giving myself stuff to work towards. Then every day it just gets me to focus on 3 massive actions for the day. What are the 3 things that I need to get done? And once again, I ask myself that question. If I get these things done, it's going to have the most significant improvement in getting me to my goals. What are those daily actions? And then I just make sure that I've scheduled the time in my calendar to get those things done. Right? It doesn't need to be more, some people want to have a list of 100 things. I've found over the years that just keeping it to 3 to sort of 5 makes everything quite achievable to get done. Does that make sense? Like, is that 12-month macro more for single day events? Yes. Yeah. So the 12-month planner, literally I'll just write workshop, day off, long weekend. If I've got significant events, so I've got my men's huddles which is part of the inner circle, got my 30th birthday, and then I've just got the topics for each Friday call that I have. So I just put significant things that, I know that I look for regularly. So if you have things that you need to be organized for, make sure you put those in. You know, it might be partners' birthdays. It might be, whatever works for you. Does that make
What diary do you use?
I use the one called My Daily Greatness. I've used this for about 3 years. I've just got a new one over there. They're pretty expensive, or not really actually, but it's about $150 for this one. And yeah, they do like business, life, like multiple different ones. So that's what I use, just because it breaks it down with that. But yeah, so then once you've obviously got your daily actions, guys, your daily actions should tie into the goals, right? And that way, this is why I believe I've created such a significant change in my life over the last couple of years, is because all I do every day is focus on what I've set out to do. I don't try to overcomplicate it. I understand that life's busy. Having access to a phone or social media, people are always, there's always distractions. And whenever I get distracted, I acknowledge that and I go, yep, fair play, I'm being distracted, I've been procrastinating. The easiest way for me to get back on track is to open up my diary and read what I said I'd be doing at this point in time, right? It helps refocus me. A lot of people, we just sort of go through the day and waste so much time that we never get anything done. And you look back, if you fall off the wagon for 1 week, it's all right. But then we get so far behind our goals, we give up. And then we start believing, it's not possible for me. I can't change. Look, I'm lazy. I'm a failure. Another year's passed by. It's all bullshit. You're just trying to validate your lack of effort. As soon as you fall behind on anything, just start working again. Ask yourself, what made me fall off the wagon this time? Acknowledge it and then move forward. You can just as easily get back on track as you can fall off track. And what you need to think about now, which is probably the most important part out of all of this, is what do you do to set yourself up to achieve the daily actions? For a lot of us, as you're setting goals, things that you're now starting to realize you need to do on a daily basis to achieve that is uncomfortable. It's foreign. It's not normal for you. So you're not going to just wake up and do it. Guarantee that. You need to have things set in place to help you, I guess, prime yourself to do that. That's why, people talk about morning routines. It's a sort of a really popular thing at the moment, but it's also popular for a reason, because it works. I look at a morning routine or having something to get myself prepared for whatever I'm about to do for the day, just like warming up for training. Right, you warm up your specific muscle group before you work it, just like you should warm up for specific things in your life, right? For me, when I do cold calling in my business, I fucking hate cold calling. But how I get myself pumped up is I listen to a sales podcast for maybe 15 minutes. I get some sun, and I then reflect on why I'm doing it. And then I get on the phone and get going. I don't take the hang-ups personally. I don't take the no answers personally, but I understand the process. If I meditate in the morning because I want to reflect on my day. I eat well because I want to have energy and feel clean and confident. So my morning routine is there to set me up for success in the day. And morning routines will change just like everything else does. And what works for me mightn't work for you guys. So it's important to take time to work out what's going to be the best routine for you to achieve what it is that you want to, or how you want to show up on a daily basis. If you struggle with confidence, what can you do to get yourself in a confident state? It might be doing some weight training. It might be listening to one of those awesome videos on YouTube, those motivational videos with Will Smith or something like that, right? There's things that you can do that you can change your way of thinking. And it may last for 3 minutes. Awesome. If you do it consistently enough, it'll go from 3 minutes to 4 minutes. It'll go from 4 minutes to 5 minutes. It'll go from 5 minutes to an hour. It's the consistency of doing these things that allows you to show up how you need to show up to get the results. Okay, so that's why that priming yourself to achieve the daily actions is the most important thing on this whole planner, this whole process. Because if you can get yourself to do the daily actions, you'll then start achieving the weekly goals that you've set for yourself. If you start achieving the weekly goals that you set for yourself, you're going to be on track with the monthly goals. If you're on track with the monthly goals, the quarterly goals are looking sweet as well. And if you get on track with the quarterly goals in 12 months' time, you're going to be in a completely different position to where you're at right now. Is there any questions with that, gents? Max put in there, there's an excellent book called Atomic Habits. It's actually a really brilliant book, making small changes to our routines. Thanks for the recommendation. So Atomic Habits, boys, if you haven't read it, definitely take the time to read that. So once again, once you're working towards and you're working through this process, review your plan and your goals. Is it realistic for you to achieve, and are you prepared to commit the time, or are you prepared to make the sacrifices required to achieve it? As I mentioned, when I first started my network marketing, I thought I was going to earn $1 million in 12 months. No one ever told me it was not possible, which may be a good thing, but maybe had I asked myself a few more questions, I probably would have realized that maybe 50,000 was where I should have been aiming first off. But it got me in massive action. So that's the most important thing. Is there any questions at all, Jen, so far? Awesome. I'll share a few tools that I use that I would highly recommend. And one thing that I really want to stress to tie it back in, guys, it's easy. You guys have invested nearly an hour of your time, and I really appreciate you guys for doing that, because there was, like I said, over 70 people registered, and we've got 20 odd on here. So you guys made the time and you committed to it. You put it in your diaries and you're here. From listening to this, I highly recommend, even if you don't want to spend days doing it, just block out 4 hours for yourself and think about what you want and start mapping it out, and maybe just find one workshop or one book you want to read that's going to improve that certain aspect, because one's better than nothing. Okay, then commit to it. And for those who maybe don't have the right environment around you to support you to achieve that goals, and you're not interested in coaching or any of that sort of stuff, utilize the Facebook group. It's free, and there's fucking close to 700 blokes in there. Bring us on the journey with you. Now, what you're looking to achieve next year, keep us posted with how you're going, what's working well for you, what's not, because there's 700 blokes there who have experience from all walks of life that may be able to help you. Right, so it's the most undervalued thing I think that's there for a lot of you guys. Have your 12-month planner. I always get mine from Officeworks. You guys might want to use a 12-month planner, but I'd highly recommend it. I use the Daily Greatness Planner for the business one. You guys can use whatever you want. There's also the High Performance Planner is another one that I use, and I give clients, and then use whatever works well for you guys. But I like the ones that have questions in them to make me think a little bit differently. Accountability partner, like I said, use a group, grab a mate or get a coach. Set out 12 books for the year to help you achieve your goals. That's what I do. We do that in the inner circle as well. But for me, I always like to flick between professional development. So for professional development is anything that's going to improve my business and career. And then personal development, what's going to improve me as a person. So I think, that's how I go. You guys can do it however you like. And put reminders around the house and set, alarms in your phone, or just keep the goals that you set in the front of mind, because as I spoke about, life happens, and it happens very quick. And it's very easy to blink and you're 6 months into the year and you forgot about what you started in January. So whether you put reminders in your phone, sticky notes next to the shower, things like that, like utilize those things and don't think it's over the top. Just think it's going to really support you to achieve what it is that you want to achieve. Cool. And then obviously the daily actions, for me, you pick what you want. Meditation, exercising is a non-negotiable, making sure I get 6 hours, 45 plus. Everyone's different with their sleep. I read 30 pages a day, and I call 8 men daily. Like I want actual 8 phone calls. So that's an example of what I do on a daily basis and commit myself to. There's a few things that aren't there, but you guys obviously make those daily commitments for yourself and what you're looking to achieve. So, gents, that's it. And I'm sorry I went over by 15 minutes. I was probably talking too much at the start. But like I said, if you do take the time to actually set yourself up for 12 months, and it will take time, it may challenge you, because one thing that I know for sure, if you find yourself saying, I don't know, or I can't achieve that, you're just avoiding the answer. And sometimes the answer we don't want to hear, but once we get the answer, we can build on it, right? There was a lot of stuff I faced at the start, which I didn't like having to accept, but now that I've dealt with it, I've completely changed things. So understand that, wherever you're at is exactly where you're meant to be. And it's just that perfect platform for you to build off. Cool. So I hope you guys got a heap of value from that. If you have any questions about it, message me or post in the group. So obviously other men might have the same question. So it's always good utilizing that group to get some value. But yeah, the simple bit of advice is implement some planning. Think about what you want and ask yourself what you need to learn or what has to happen to achieve those goals and potentially what obstacles may show up. And as I mentioned at the start of the call, I'm not selling anything. If you guys want to have a call with me, feel free to reach out. I trust you guys to do that. And for those who I won't speak to before Christmas, have an incredible Christmas and a great New Year. Was there any questions?
Thanks, Lachie.
Thanks, Lachie.
Thanks, Lachie. Thanks very much, Lachie. That was awesome, mate. Thank you so much.
Did anyone have any questions?
Thanks, Lachie.
Before we go?
Just on the hey, buddy. Just on the 8 areas, the webinar, I couldn't find it in the Facebook.
I think I've got 3 in there.
Sorry, the Facebook page.
Yeah, I'll repost it, boys. So if you're not in the free Facebook group, just search the Man That Can Project, or I'll email it out tomorrow. If you're in there, I'll repost the 8 areas webinar tonight for you guys.
Yeah, I missed it. Yeah, it's there somewhere, but I've got to scroll through everything.
Yeah, no, I'll post it for you again, mate.
Sweet. Thanks, dude.
Okay, gents, appreciate everyone making the time. Have a great week, great Christmas, and I'll chat to you all shortly.
Thanks, Lachie. Cheers, mate.
Thanks, Lachie.
Take care.
Gents, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'm sure if you take the time to do that, you're going to have an incredible 2021. I'm excited to get to connect with more of you over the course of the next 12 months. And remember, there is that 7-day free trial for the Inner Circle. You can head over to the website, themanthatcanproject.com. You'll see the tab for the Inner Circle. Click there, jump on the 7-day free trial, and I look forward to connecting with you guys soon and seeing you on one of our Inner Circle weekly calls. See you soon. Thank you for listening to the Man That Can Project podcast. My name is Lachie Stuart, and I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful. If you did, please take a moment to rate and review the Man That Can Project on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with our newest episodes. We'll see you again next time.